Hey, what's going on, traders? It's Johnny here with Trader X. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the channel. I really do appreciate your time. And as usual, I'm going to go ahead and get right into today's recap. So as you guys can see on the screen, so today unfortunately was a red day. And let me go ahead and explain to you guys why. So I know it says it shows that we're up 1100 on the day on Tesla. That is not the case at all. We were actually red on the day on Tesla, but the system itself is glitching today, given the fact that Tesla had a stock split, right? So I have no idea why it honestly shows this number. That's not even the amount we're up year to date, right? So that's just, I have no clue why it is showing that, but I was up about $25 on SQQQ and I was down about $10 on TQQQ. And the reason why I'm saying I'm red on the day is because I also tried day trading Tesla. And I'm going to go ahead and explain to you guys, what ended up happening. But in terms of how I ended today in trading, I was down about $60 on the day. So it was another red day. These are my field orders. You guys can see the timestamps that I was trading, the quantity I was trading with, right? The ticker symbol itself is here in the middle, and the price points are here on the right. And let me go ahead and explain to you guys, what ended up happening for me today. So, as you guys know, right, heading into today, I was anticipating it could possibly trade sideways the way it has been the past few days, right? Because if we would zoom out, we'll notice is that the Nasdaq was aggressively selling off, and once it does find a support, right, the next few days after, it typically tries to trade sideways. And so, I ended up thinking that today, if this thing sold off to bottom VWAP, so well, right at market open, you guys can see this increase in volume, right? And so the Nasdaq pretty much got rejected and started to sell off, and I got into SQQQ and was able to make a little bit of money on that, probably around $14, right? Nothing crazy. I was only in with a 25% position size. And then I definitely saw this TQQQ play coming. And how did I see it coming? Well, if you guys know from earlier on in the week, any single time the Nasdaq would approach the bottom VWAP, it would have a nice recovery all the way back up to top VWAP, right? So we saw it on Monday here. Anytime it approached the bottom VWAP, it would bounce, right? It would approach the bottom VWAP like yesterday did, and it would bounce, right, and have a nice surge. And so heading into today, I saw the same thing occurring, right? This thing sold off right at market open, and I was expecting a form of bounce. Now, the reason why I didn't just get into TQQQ, and that's ultimately, what led to me being red on the day, is because I decided to actively day trade Tesla, especially given the fact that it just had a stock split. And my reasoning behind that was, given that the stock was now trading at a third of the price, I personally thought that we were going to see a lot of increase in volume, right? And there was going to be more attention put on Tesla, but that's ultimately not what ended up playing out. So as you guys can tell, the Nasdaq, right, ended up recovering. So if you got into TQQQ, it would have been a really nice trade, right? So this thing ended up shooting up over 3%, right? And if I just wrote that up, even without averaging up, I could have made a decent amount of money today. And so what I instead decided to do was try to focus on Tesla. But as you guys can see, right, today it actually did not even follow or really correlate with the Nasdaq very well. So, and what I mean by that is, as a Nasdaq, right, bounced down here and ended up recovering the top VWAP, Tesla itself never ended up recovering to where it was at right at market open, right? This thing just aggressively sold off. And as this thing sold off, I decided to buy some shares down here because I know how much the Nasdaq can influence tech stocks, right? Including Tesla. I've seen it time and time again, where the Nasdaq will tend to go on a little bit of a rally like this, and it can bring Tesla up and make it shoot up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even 10% on the day. And given the fact with the stock split, that just made me, make me want to focus that much more on Tesla itself. And so, and if for any of you who aren't aware of what happened with Tesla, it had a 3-to-1 stock split. So pretty much if you had one share at around $900 it was trading at, today you would have woken up with 3 shares at $300 a piece, right? And so as this thing sold off, I decided to buy into Tesla. I averaged up with another like $2,000. And then once I saw this thing finally break above the middle VWAP and the Nasdaq was still running, right? I decided that I wanted to get in heavier, so I bought in and I was in with almost $10,000 into Tesla. But as you guys can tell, right, this thing stopped correlating very well with the Nasdaq and we just aggressively sold off on the day. So as this thing sold off, I had to manage my risk, right? I ended up cutting losses at break of this support here, right? Because that was indicating to me that it was no longer trying to make these higher highs, right? But it's now using the EMA to get rejected pretty much and fall, and so that's why I decided to cut my trade there. And so I did ultimately end up losing about $74 with the shares that I was day trading on Tesla. And so that's why, I'm saying I'm down overall $60 on the day, right? Because I made $25 on SQQQ and I lost $10 on TQQQ. And now in terms of what I can learn from this, all of pretty much the morning when I was actively looking at Tesla and trying to day trade it, I definitely noticed that it wasn't reacting very well with the Nasdaq. And what I mean by that is the Nasdaq would have a nice surge, right? Like it did, but it literally Tesla it didn't cause Tesla to start to push up the way I thought it would. This thing, had a really nice surge and Tesla would barely start to creep up. And then on these little pullbacks, it would just cause Tesla to just, get rejected hard. And so, what I pretty much noticed was that the Nasdaq, anytime it would struggle and form a little bit of a resistance, it would really bring Tesla down, right? As you guys can see, right? These little resistances on the Nasdaq caused these type of drops. And then ultimately as the Nasdaq recovered and started to surge on the day, this thing was not going, right? And so it really did frustrate me today because I felt like, TQQQ would have been a really nice move and I could have just gotten into that. So that is something I am, regretful on the day, but at the same time, it made sense to me why I was getting into Tesla, and ultimately it just didn't end up playing out, so I had to manage my risk, right? So it's like in trading, it's always very important, like I mentioned, whenever you get into a trade, to never just expect it to go according to plan. It can always go south. And in today's case, that is ultimately what happened. So unfortunately, the stock split didn't, cause there to be lots of volume the way I thought, would be trading today. And so it actually ultimately acted almost as a negative catalyst, right? Because as you guys can see, as a stock split happened right on market open, this thing tanked and it did a horrible job of trying to recover on the day, right? So that's ultimately what did lead to me being red on the day, and what ultimately led me to really missing out on TQQQ, right? Because not only could you have made money on this move, and ultimately what I mean when I say money on this move is this thing, even if you just bought at the bottom and sold at top VWAP where it made sense, right? Where it could get rejected, you could have still made a killing, right? I obviously didn't know it was going to push up as much as it did, but the idea behind trading is to get in where it makes sense and sell out where it makes sense, right? It doesn't matter if this thing ended up shooting to the moon, as long as you're selling in an area where you think it's smart, then you're just doing your part, right? And so as you guys can tell, the Nasdaq actually ultimately ended up rallying right at market close too, and so TQQQ had another, 2.5% trade opportunity. And so I really did miss out on that, unfortunately, but I did want to, inform you guys of why I decided to actively day trade Tesla instead of TQQQ. And I just personally saw that Tesla is a more volatile stock compared to TQQQ, and I thought, if it did have the volume today, especially with the stock split, that it could rally really hard. But that's not what ended up happening, right? So I ended up having to manage my risk, and with that, I am ending red on the day. So in terms of where I am on the week, I believe I'm down about $70 to $80 if I'm not mistaken. So heading into tomorrow, I'm not really going to try to focus on Tesla, and the reason why is Tesla itself, if you do look at it at the bigger time frames, it is a bit more overextended where it currently is, so it definitely could have some room to correct itself. And that same thing goes with the Nasdaq, right? So the Nasdaq had a nice rally. It was having a nice rally, and we did get rejected. And so ultimately, I am happy that we were able to end green. But like I mentioned, Tesla just didn't end up going with it. So I'm just really gonna stick to actively day trading TQQQ and SQQQ tomorrow, and just leaving Tesla, on the side and letting my open position run, right? Because I still have 6 shares, as you guys know, because I only had 2 shares, right? And given the stock split, it gives you an extra share for each share you had. So yeah, that's ultimately everything I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys all had a beautiful day today and were able to end green. If you guys are new to the channel, we really do appreciate you guys dropping a like and subscribing. It really does mean a lot to us. And if you guys have any questions at all, want me to break down any stock or make a stock video on anything, I'm more than happy to. Just go ahead and drop a comment below and I will go ahead and answer that and, potentially make a video on it. But other than that, I do appreciate your time and I will be posting a recap tomorrow. So I will see you guys then. Take care.